At independence, we're talking about COVID and also the return of our children to school this week. Well, next week, this week, I believe, is orientation. And, this new term speaks to online learning. What does that look like, for those who would have the ability to go online? Not everyone will be able to go online. And we're talking to Minister Nyan Gatsby-Dolly in the second hour. So we're going to talk about all of that then. But now we want to focus on the online aspect of it. And here once again to talk us through that is Andre Charles, Teacher 3 IT at Holy Name Convent. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you today? Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you loud and clear. This would be exactly how you'd be communicating with your students, wouldn't it? Really,
yes, it will be
technically.
exactly like this. And I have to just look at this camera and hope that you are fixing your gaze on me also. And all those things are things that we have to always consider. Like, do we look at the screen? Do we look at the camera? But again, too much into it. But thank you very much for having me again.
Yes.
And I appreciate the opportunity to share with the nation.
So what is the ideal setup for home learning or remote learning, as they call it?
The ideal setup would be to have a table, a chair, a laptop with a good webcam that's connected to a good Wi-Fi connection, and you are able to have your own space to work in as a child, because most schools will try to give you a timetable and let you know when your sessions will be. So whenever your sessions are, it'll be like you go into class, you sit at your desk and you have your technology set up, and you are separated from everybody else.
So you're talking about a laptop, but I hear laptop interchanging with device. I know some people might want to use their phone or their iPads, tablets, as Rokas has said. Which one is most ideal for remote learning with children?
It will depend on the educational level. If you're at the educational level of lower primary, most of the times you're going to consume information that your teacher will be giving to you, and you'll be using your textbook still. So they'll give you work to do. So for consumption of information, phones and tablets are perfectly fine, because all you need to do is hear and see and follow instructions. But for upper school learning, probably from secondary up, you're going to need to create information. So in order to create information, you're going to need a keyboard. So therefore, laptops will be better for them.
I'm glad you said hear and see, and interaction, I think, is important at this point, particularly as you don't have that face-to-face dynamic. How do you go about ensuring that the students remain interactive and engaged during remote learning?
Right. So for lower school children, primary school and below, keeping their attention is going to be a lot harder, because their attention span is generally lower. So teachers are going to have to interchange their curriculum delivery with games and activities. And the games and activities are different to how we would be in a physical classroom. But there are many sites, many YouTube videos that could show you 50 different Zoom games that you could do that could have children interactive. So simple things like playing Boy, Girl, Animal, Play, Sting TV show. Simple things like doing little quizzes. Simple things like, this game with the phone where you can play heads up. Where you could do those things, because those things just require you to see each other, and there will be no physical interactions. If you tell them, take out a piece of paper and write down this and then hold it up to the screen, you can create little games that will allow them to reinforce what they have done. And that's just basic teaching. It's just that we're doing it from a different in a different platform now.
Andre, you're talking about the interactions and stuff like that, but I know classroom management is one of the things that teachers learn along the way, and they kind of tailor their classrooms to be able to be managed for the discipline aspect of things. Like you're saying, the lower school children would have less, the attention span would be a little bit less. They tend to get distracted very easily, and that could lead to some discipline problems. How do you suggest teachers work on their classroom management online?
In terms of the classroom management, we're going to have to bring parents into the fray. Now, it's very unreasonable to expect a parent to be around every single minute of the time that the child is in their online class. But in an ideal situation, because we're speaking about ideals here, we'll talk about the drawbacks later. In an ideal situation, a parent should start the class with their child. It may not be possible all the time, but just to make sure that they are there and they have seen the setup, and they could liaise with the teacher to just say, all right, is this good? Can he do this? Could he do that or whatnot? And of course, teachers setting ground rules before and communicating that with the parents will go a long way. Because if we get a specification document that sends out to the parents, and the parent is told okay, this is what your child is expected to do, at least the parent will be able to enforce it. And
Yeah.
then now when the teacher has the actual class, they will be able to say, this child is not meeting the specifications. So when they communicate with the parents, again, because I believe communication with parents in this time should be done weekly. When they communicate to the parents again, they should be able to say, okay, your child was turning off their video all the time. Is there a problem, or was it that the child was being indisciplined?
Mm-hmm.
So I think parents have a big part to play in the discipline of online teaching.
Well, you know, the point also comes up in terms of synchronous and asynchronous learning and how much time the teacher actually gets to spend with the child online and how much work the child is expected to do on their own, given the type of platform that you're using now with the technology. Children can, in fact, engage the learning management systems on their own and
Yes.
use it. So how much of that do you recommend with teachers interacting with their classes?
I think for upper school children, secondary school, you could get 50% synchronous, so 50% visual and 50% assignments. For lower, you're going to have less visual in terms of learning, but the visual could be interchanged with not just learning, but activities. So you can still get the 50% in front of the camera, but it wouldn't be 50% of the time just straight work.
Right.
And then the other 50, you could get the parents to know that, okay, these are the assignments that they have to do, and they will be able to follow through. And one of the things Google Classroom will allow you to do is you could go in Google Classroom and you could see all the layouts of all the assignments that they have to do, so parents can keep track in somewhat. It may not be perfect because we're really not in a perfect world right now, but parents can keep track of the things that need to be done for the next day if the teachers create the assignments appropriately.
All right, well, take us through, show us, demonstrate how you do it in the classroom before we run out of time. We want to see what it actually looks like, and parents can see what the children will be doing.
All right, so let me go quickly. Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes,
we are. We should make that full screen if we can.
So I have two browsers set up. One is the teacher and one is the student, right? So on the left-hand side, I have the teacher and you see all these classrooms that are created. On the right side is the student. So I'm just going to run you through very simply how a teacher will create a class. So they go to classroom.google.com, you sign in with a Gmail account. I can't go into great details. I have YouTube videos on this, so they could go to my YouTube channel if they want to see it, right? So a teacher will go to create class. They will click continue, and then they give the class a name. So I'll call this test TTT live, right? TTT live. And then I click create. Once I create the class, the teacher is going to have three options of adding me to the class. They can add me by emailing me directly, or they could create a link, a class code, sorry, and then the class code will send me there. So when I create a classroom, the teacher will see this class code come up. So I'm going to tell the child or the parent, this is the class code for my class. However, I decide to disseminate the information, whether it be by WhatsApp, wherever, they will get it. So on the right-hand side now, I have the student. The student has no classes. So I'm going to click add, and then I'm going to click join class. When I click join class, it will ask me for a class code. I put in the class code, and then I click join. Now, the teacher, when they go by people, they will see that there is one teacher here, which is Mr. Andre Charles, and there are no students yet. But the child on the right-hand side just joined. So if I refresh this page, I'm supposed to see that I have a new student in my class. Yeah?
So Andre, in that way, the teachers can get a roll call of all the students attending their class in that way.
They will be able to make sure that people are in the class. This is not an exact roll call, but it says that your child is in the Google Classroom and they have access to the information.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So then I could go to the stream, and there are two things I could do in the stream. I could create a post and say, hi class, please state your name. Mind the spelling errors, right? Because I'm trying to type fast.
You're moving like the children now, Andre.
EASE, right. Yeah. Please state your name. And when I click post from the teacher side, this will go there. And then on the student side, they will see me asking them to state their name. Right. And then the student can comment, hi, sir, thanks for adding me, right?
Okay.
So you can see that there is a social aspect of it where a teacher could put up a post and the children could respond to it interchangeably.
So is it that,
Andre, just checking, right? So each teacher will have to go in and set up one of these for each class that they have?
If they are like a primary school teacher and they have one class that they deal with on a daily basis, they'll just create one classroom and they'll just separate the English time and the whatever other time and all those times. But for secondary school teachers, yes, they're going to have to create their English class. So let's say you're teaching English in Form 1 and English in Form 2.
Yeah.
Yes, it will have to be two separate classes because it's two different sets of work.
So,
Okay.
so once they're inside of the classroom now, give us a demonstration of how the teaching actually takes place in terms of, let's say you have a math class or a French class or so. What does it look like to the students, as an
To the student.
example?
Right, to the student on the right hand side, I will post, here is the link to class today. And then I'll post some link, HTTPS, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I click post. When I click post, at the, let's say the class is supposed to start 7 o'clock, this would have gone in at 6:49, 10 minutes before the class, right?
Uh-huh.
So the student will log into their Google Classroom and they'll say, here's the link for today. When they click the link, just like normally when we click links in Zoom, Zoom will open up and they will be able to do the virtual classroom.
So at that point, they get to see you.
Yeah, at that point, Zoom will open up, or Google Meet, or Google Hangouts, or what's the next one, Microsoft Teams. Any one of them will open because each of them has the ability to put a link for the class for the student to join.
Okay, so you mentioned Google Classroom, Zoom. So right now, teachers are using
Right now,
a
yeah,
variety.
whichever one works best, because some people have gotten so accustomed to Zoom that they will be able to live with the 40 minutes and they have figured out how to structure their classes in such a way that the 40 minutes works.
Yeah.
Then they give the children some synchronous learning to do, and then they come back for another 40 minutes.
So are you going to show us? Are you going to show us something else, or?
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to upload assignment because that's one of the biggest problems that parents have.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so when I go to classwork, because look at the teacher side, I have stream classwork, people, and grades. And on the student side, I only have stream classwork and people, right?
Yeah.
So if I go to classwork and I create an assignment, this is what a teacher will have to do. Social studies assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spelled studies wrong because
Come on, sir.
obviously-
Come
Because
on,
you're
sir.
Russian. Because you're Russian. We
Come
won't hold
on,
it
sir.
against you. We won't hold it against you.
I'm not a good teacher, right? Yeah. I could choose the amount of points. So I'm saying the social studies assignment is with 25 marks,
Yeah.
or I could put it as ungraded because it's just homework. Then I set a due date, and the due date will be tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that in, and then I click assign. What the student is going to see on their classwork section, which is on the right-hand side here, is they're going to see social studies assignment comes up due on September the 3rd at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for bigger students, they will be able to manage this on their own. But for younger students, the parents are going to have to go in and say, okay, what assignments do I have due and what the due dates are? Of course, the one with the closest due date will end up on top, or will end up chronologically based on what order they put it in.
Andre, if you can
So as a
move
child-
your picture, the little box with your picture, because it's blocking the
Oh,
part
I'm
with the
sorry.
due. So if you can just move it to another part of the screen. Okay.
All right, it's done.
All right. Okay.
So you would see due September the 3rd, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now a student will click on this, and then they will view assignment, and the assignment will have to add files.
Yes.
Now, this is the important part. Students, when they add files, they have many options to choose from. More than likely, teachers are going to ask students in lower school, to take pictures of their work and send it back to them.
Uh-huh.
If you're going to take pictures of your work, you're going to choose file. And when you choose file, you will get the ability to upload
From your machine.
Yeah, from your machine, right? So when I click
Yeah.
upload, I could browse. And on my desktop, I have created 2 test files. So I'll create a test file.
And this would be
Test.
homework you're talking about, or actual
Yeah,
in-classroom work, or both?
Both.
This could be both. It could be work anyway once the teacher is creative enough to figure it out.
All right. And so this works both ways. The students can upload and the teachers can upload.
Yeah.
Yes, the teachers could upload work on the stream.
Mhm.
So that's how I type, please enter your name. I
Yeah.
could edit it and attach a file to say, hi, here, look at this YouTube video. So I could click on YouTube and be like, particle nature.
Yeah, and it comes up on their screen.
Yeah, and I'll click the YouTube video and I'll attach it to their post.
Right.
So now when they go on their feed, they will see, hey, sir uploaded a video for us to look at. And then they could go to their feed and see it.
Andre, you are an IT teacher. I would assume that this makes this process a little bit easier for you than it would for most other teachers who may not be as into IT. What is that learning curve looking like so far for the teachers you've encountered in your school and otherwise?
Let me put it this way. For the whole of last week,
Andre, can you just stop sharing so we can see you full screen?
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So for the past week, I have trained 3 different schools on how to use Google Classroom.
Right.
And each training session takes about 3 hours. 1.5 hours for me to show basically what I've just shown here, and then a next 1.5 hours for them to ask questions. Because the questions are wide, they're very in-depth, because teachers looking for a way to apply their creativity. And in order to apply your creativity, you need to know what tools you have available, or else you can't be creative.
Yeah.
So it's a steep learning curve for some.
Mm-hmm.
There are some who are willing to fight through technology, and there are some who are expecting technology to just work for them.
And you also,
as a teacher, we are very accustomed to fighting.
But you also mentioned that there are parents who have to get involved as well just now in terms of uploading. It's probably a steep learning curve for some parents as well. Is there an outreach in terms of helping parents to understand how to assist their children with the remote learning?
There are schools that have training sessions for the parents. So there are some schools that are going to have meetings, like my school. We are supposed to have meetings with the parents to try to get them to not just buy in, but to understand how to do certain things, because you have to train teachers, students, and parents in this time. Mm-hmm. So there are schools, I know for sure, because at one of the schools I did training with, the parents were actually in the training because they wanted to see what it looks like from the teacher side and the student side. And that makes a big difference. Once you can try to understand each other, we could work through the uncomfortable situation, because it's uncomfortable for every single one of the stakeholders, every single one.
Andre,
yes.
How much time do we expect students to actually spend in front of the computer on a daily basis? Because I know school would run, let's say, from 7:30 to 2:30 or something like that. Do we expect students to be in class for that same length of time per day?
No. It's impossible to have them staring at a screen for that long. That would be very bad for ergonomics and for your eyes and for mental health. It just wouldn't work out that well. As they get older, you will increase the amount of time. So for younger children, probably about 20 to 30% of their day should be, well, based on what I've read from the clinical people and smart people, because I am not one of those smart people. I'm just a teacher who understands the technology well and tries to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
But some of the documents I've read, the white papers and whatnot, they say younger children should be about 20 to 30%. When you reach to about 10 to 11, you can reach to about 40%. And then secondary school children that are older, they could reach to about 50 to 70%, because they are able to be a lot more mature in the way that they handle themselves, and they won't get distracted too much, and they are mentally tougher.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
But one of the things we didn't talk about is the fact that in some of these software applications that we use, like the Zoom and so on, and I think Google Classroom as well, you're able to break out into groups so that you can still maintain the group work, the group dynamics.
Yes.
You guys do in the classroom.
Yep, these things are available. Zoom has it. Microsoft Teams would have it. Google Meet would have it to a certain extent, but Google Classroom could do that also, because you could give group assignments and they could work on it. So the possibilities are there, but as I said, if a teacher doesn't know the tool exists, they can't be very creative. So having them know the tools is an important thing.
Well, this is the way to the future. We want to thank you so much, Andre, for joining us once again. And, you guys have, I know you yourself have the opportunity to train persons, parents who are looking on, teachers who are looking on, might be a little bit intimidated, but it's not the new normal, it's the normal for the future, right?
Yes. What they can do is they can check my YouTube channel, and I'll have some tutorials up. I'm working on some videos right now.
Yeah. Give us the name of your YouTube channel.
Make It Simple TT. Right. YouTube.com/Make It Simple TT, or Make IT Simple TT, whichever one you want to say. The goal is to make this thing simple for people who think it's actually
wonderful. Nice. Thank you so much, Andre. And with that, we're going to have to leave you. We'll probably check you back at another point in the semester.
To see how things are working out.
Yes, definitely.
All right, thanks a lot.
I think it's you too, Andre.